I'm here. I'm a little late. Sorry, I overslept. I was watching the football games yesterday. All the football games. Loved the last one. Loved all the games. They were great games. Except for the one-sided ones. They were pretty good. And it just means there's more to come. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Alright, let's see what's going on here. Here's the deal with Donald Trump. I've said this before, but it only takes it just takes a very simple analysis to understand what's going on here. Alright? Trump's going after blowing up these boats that are supposedly drug boats out of Venezuela. Alright? Now, the biggest seller of cocaine in the area is the country I live in, Colombia. Okay? We have the Medellin cartel, a couple others running around, some violent, some not so violent, all in the drug business. Alright? So, you don't see a lot of drug use, except for marijuana, which I think is pretty much legal down here now. It is illegal to sell cocaine, and they do have people out there looking and checking up on you. But here's what I'm trying to explain, all right? You say Venezuela runs drug boats. Colombia is the one that builds the submarines and sends them north, not Venezuela. Okay? The Venezuelan Navy interdicts these boats carrying several tons of cocaine every once in a while. This is where the cocaine is coming from. And if I wanted to stop cocaine, the first thing I would have done was invaded Colombia and just got rid of the cartels in Cali and Cartagena and Medellin and whatnot, going after the real bad guys. But there's a reason they're not doing that, and Maduro has said it, and apparently the newspapers and whatnot in the United States are really just playing this down. But we know Trump is involved in some sort of cartel arrangement with Saudi Arabia, where he lets them do certain things and he finances their military and everything. And there's a good reason for that. They are keeping the area relatively quiet, but they do sponsor all the terror. They did sponsor 9/11, and nobody's really dug into that and wanted to make that a real public statement, because Trump's afraid of Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia has a lot of oil. A lot of oil. Well, Venezuela has approximately twice as much untapped, under the ground, underdeveloped. I don't know whether it's the right kind of oil, because there's crude, there's sweet crude. I think they use sweet crude for gasoline. I don't know what's down there. They don't say anything about that. All I know is it has the largest untapped oil field in the world. Okay? So, that's what Trump wants. Maybe so he can break his deal with Saudi Arabia and he doesn't have to listen to Israel or anybody else over there anymore, and he can just let those countries kill each other. I have no idea what the deal is. Alright? Really don't. I don't think anybody does, but I do know that he's wasting resources going after Venezuela if he's trying to stop drug traffic to the United States. Okay? If that's the reason he's doing it. And I don't think it is. I think it's 100% oil. So, what happened today? Let's see. The copyright on Betty Boo, I think that's what they were talking about, runs out. So now it's in the public domain. Anybody can use it. She was a hot chick when I was a kid, they banned cartoons, but they banned Coyote and Roadrunner faster than they banned Betty Boop. Betty Boop she was cool. She was hot. She had a great ass, man. She was every kid's imagination. And then MTV, which is responsible for a lot of things. MTV is responsible for the lack of talent in the music industry, because if you could put on a good show, Vanilli Millie is an example of that. Michael Jackson happened to be talented, but his forte was the big show. Not the. I don't know whether Thriller would have made it without the show, without the video. And they were doing 24-hour music videos, and they made it impossible for the young guys to do the videos and get them. At first, it was very easy. They could get on, $60,000 or something like that. They could raise, or less than that. They could make a video, get it out on MTV. Now it's millions of dollars to get a video on MTV. So they're ending 24-hour live music videos. Music channels, rather, which is, that's the one that they want to do that. That's fine. That will have an extreme effect on the music industry because they're going, in order to get their music out there, they're either going to have to do a lot of live concerts, or they're going to have to go back to selling CDs off the radio. Radio stations are going to make a slight comeback or something, or there's going to be a new video channel. I don't know what the VH1, does that still do that? I don't know. I have no idea. I can't get either. I get MTV down here, but it's in Spanish, and I don't like it, so, screw that. But those are the couple of things I wanted to talk about today. It's the 2nd of January, and today's the day that you actually see the hangovers, because people partied all day yesterday. Me, I'm tired because I watched the football games yesterday. I watched from 12 in the afternoon to 12 at night. I was watching football. Little breaks while they, went from channel to channel. And they were all good games, relatively speaking, And I also watched, when they would take the breaks, I'd go over and watch the marathon they had down of Hudson and Rex, which I happen to like. It's about a German Shepherd. It's set in Canada. It's Canadian. I forget where it's set. It might be Toronto or Vancouver. I'm not sure. But anyhow, I like it because the dog's the best actor on the show. Everybody else sucks. But that's that's a lot of that does the punctuation in the script. I don't know who they're trying to appeal to there. So not very good. But I watched that in between. I love animals. If you can't, I don't know. I think I always loved animals, but that's what made Disney popular for me. Disney would do these videos where they'd have birds or something flying to classical music or something like that. It'd be it would be a half-hour video. It was really nice. I liked it. It was just fascinating. The technical aspect of it really didn't fascinate me right away. It was just the back and forth of the birds, right in tune with the music. And when I started watching it, I was rather young, and I don't think I really comprehended the technical aspect of it, how hard that was to do. And they were the best at it. Those old videos are still better than anything they do today. Those guys didn't have the equipment that we have today. The computerized, programs, you can just toss it in and it comes, you don't have AI or any of that shit back then. They did it the old-fashioned way, and they were spectacular. They sold the Disney television show. They sold me more on animals, Disney doing a lot of the shows concerning animals and whatnot, I read books in school originally that were based upon an animal. You get Old Yeller and you cry at the end of the book. I mean, you it really emotional, you know. I loved Bambi, and Bambi was banned. It still is, I think. It's for kids because they think it's too emotional. And I said, you know what? It was, but you know what? You understand something. You know, you get a real grip on life when you watch Bambi. And I'm sorry that show was taken off the air. You know, I'm sorry that movie was taken out. You know, I'm sorry they took out Coyote and the Roadrunner cartoons. These didn't get old. The government didn't like them, you know, said they were too violent. Fuck the guy that said that. That guy had the people that did that back then didn't have the censors and whatnot, didn't have one iota of intelligence as far as those shows were concerned. You know, there are things you have to understand now, and they see it. You know, signs that you can watch for a child that's going to be bad. Because if I don't know whether they've been able to correct that or not to a point where they can help the child, but you could tell when a child's going to be bad. You could tell actually when a human being's going to be bad if you're observant enough. But the problem with humanity is, other than these idiots, these guys, not idiots, but these guys that actually do the studies, which means, you know, basically looking at humans with the microscope, you know. The average individual isn't going to be able to tell crap about the person standing next to them. They can get a feeling about the person standing next to them, and I tell you, you should pretty much pay attention to those feelings, especially if they're bad feelings. You know, maybe you miss out on something. That's just the way life is. You know, you're probably going to live longer. So, you know, people do that. What else is going on? I don't know. I'm really tired. I found some glasses that work better than the ones you saw me hanging down here the other day. Yeah, these work now. But Maduro must want war, because he started detaining some American students. I don't know why American students are in Venezuela. The only thing you learn in Venezuela, the only thing I could see learning in Venezuela, since they don't have really up to speed oil people in the country, so you can't learn too much about geology. Nature, there's a lot to learn about in Venezuela, especially if, you know, we have the Amazon River and all this other stuff. The things that you can learn from that are amazing, you know. They said they find 5 new species last year. I got to tell you something. I see something new down here almost every year, you know. 2 or 3 times, 4 or 5 times a year, I see something new, a different pattern on a butterfly, and you say, well, it's a one on, you know, it's maybe that something happened when it was hatching. No, next thing you know, there's 1,000 of them around, you know. It's very strange. We have a huge migration of monarch butterflies that comes through Medellin, and this asshole Londano, who's a very big developer, who's developed most of the area where I live, doesn't care. You know, Colombia doesn't care about animals or insects or anything like that. You know, they don't care that pushing people into an area and the animals out causes horrible consequences to the ecosystem. They don't care, and I'm sorry, but that happens to be true. As a country, they don't care. Are there individuals in the country that care a lot? Yes, of course there are. You know, there's some. Well, there are probably hundreds of thousands of animal lovers in here, but they still don't understand. They may like animals, but they don't like butterflies or something. You know, or they don't like birds. I don't know, this white bird. We thought it was an egret, but it's not. I'm not sure what it is. But we get about between roughly 60 to 100, depending on what time of year it is and everything, that fly by about around 6:30 in the morning, come up, land in this tree across the street, sit there for a while, and it's a fun thing to watch because you've got one guy that shows up first, and then he stays at the top of the tree, and everybody comes and they go, and then then he goes, and then there's one bird that follows them up. And they go up and they basically go towards Medellin. There's a reserve in Medellin. I went there one time. There's two things you see in this, well, there's like four things. There's some sort of catfish, a small fish that runs in the pond, which is very mucky. Then there's a little island out, which is just, the trees aren't green, they're white because of all the birds that roost there. I guess there's enough food being produced in that like swamp-like thing there, people throwing crap in there. And turtles, box turtles. They look like regular box turtles to me. I'm not a real expert on turtles. They all look the same to me except the snappers. Those I know. I saw the biggest turtle in my life one time, and I don't know what happened to it because by the time I brought somebody out to look at it, it was gone and there wasn't any signs of it. I was fishing in the Jersey City Reservoir, which is at that time was right behind my house, and I could walk into it and they let you fish, and I had to I was legit licensed fisherman and everything like that, and I'm fishing there, and across from where I'm fishing is the mouth of the a river. I can't remember the name of the river. It wasn't the Passaic. It was named after some town along the river. Can't remember it right now. I have to look it up, but that's all right. Anyhow, it emptied into this reservoir, and then it went out and continued down along its route. Well, I'm looking at the mouth of this reservoir. There's a bridge and stuff across the way from there. And I always kept my eye on it. That's because that's when the storms would come through there. I mean, when I say storms, we'd get storms coming down. You'd get water spouts in that reservoir every once in a while. So you could see the tops of trees that had been chopped off by them. It was really an interesting ecological find. Anyhow, I had friends out there. That's where my friend Spike, the deer, lived. Found a little baby. I found it wasn't a fawn because it was a male. I don't know what they call a male baby deer. Baby deer. All right. Anyhow, he would find me fishing, and he would come out from wherever he was hiding, which was right near my apartment, because I'd go over the fence. It was just easier than walking or driving to the other side, parking, and I didn't have to worry about that, And he would come out and play around me because he just knew it was safe. He would just stay by me all the time. And things changed. I didn't go there that often. 9/11 happened. I couldn't get in there at all. And I would see him come over to the fence. Now he's a full-grown, massive white-tailed deer, giant. Trophy type. He got killed by a car. Or he got injured by a car and they shot him. But anyhow, he had a full rack on him. He was spectacular. And he still remembered me. He still come by the fence and let me scratch him and stuff like that. It was just an amazing relationship there. And there were little chipmunks and squirrels, and I saved a bunch of geese over there. So the geese all loved me because I saved several of them from not being able to cross the street to being tangled up in fishing line and whatnot. I think the first one I did was my fishing line, and that's why I never threw fishing line on the ground again after that. At least I tried not to. That was, why I love the place so much. But my love of animals has been my whole life, and this year, now I get surprised by everybody. Okay, listen, I think I've bored everybody enough, and I think I was snoring there for a while. I'm not sure. Anyhow, Listen, hit the subscription button, all right? I'm trying to get back to normal. Lucy wants me to get back to normal. She doesn't like going out at 9:30. She wants to go out. She wants to be up the street by 9 o'clock talking to all her friends. You know, she's not seeing too many of her friends, so we'll see what happens. All right, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in a little while on the live side.